Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode of Dr. EHTV. My name is Shay Douglas, and I'm really excited to open up this conversation today because we're going to be working up in the upper energy centers. And as we work through these episodes every Wednesday when we get together, we interview lots of different experts from around the world. We've had some phenomenal speakers on this platform, including Dr. Demartini and many great inspiring voices. And that's what we're really going to uncover today, what it takes to open up our voice, to speak our truth, to share what's going on and what's relevant in our life so that we can really feel that we're being heard in our communities, in our families, in our professional lives, in our careers. And so I'm really excited to have Dr. Espen back here with me today. So good to see you. You're looking fresh as always. And
thank you very much.
Yeah, this is a really exciting conversation where we get to really explore what it takes to share your truth ultimately and look at what are the challenges that hold us back from stopping us doing what we truly believe needs to be said. And with so much happening in the world right now, there's a great opportunity for us to unlock this potential within us to be able to share how we really feel about what's happening. And so, Dr. Espen, I'm curious, like I've heard from a lot of different people, a lot of the times, and this is something that I feel you really emphasize on tremendously in the QA experience, which is just a phenomenal opportunity. If you guys haven't done the Quantum Advanced 3-day live seminar, they go through a special process that really helps to unlock this area. But is it true that what you are most afraid of to say, the thing that brings the most fear that you feel you want to share, is usually the number one thing that must be shared in order to be empowered and to go through a process of healing and to really ultimately be heard?
Oh, what an amazing question. Hello, everyone. Thanks for watching. Thanks so much, Shay, for your amazing intros and guidance as always. For those of you watching, checking in live, even if you're checking the recording, pop a line in the chat section and let us know where you're watching from. This is always such an awesome time to connect. And if you are live, feel free to pop the questions in there too as we go along. Absolutely. So the question is it true that the thing that we're most afraid to share, afraid to say, afraid to express is the one thing that is most important for us to share and express? And I would say in many cases, absolutely. So just take a moment, everyone, to kind of feel into this as you're listening. When we are young, when you were young, there were times and situations in your life where you were told to be quiet, not to speak, not to express yourself. And many of us, unfortunately, have inherited a lot of the indoctrinations, the thought patterns and limiting beliefs of our parents. Where they have said to us, oh, you must get a good education, you must do this, you must do that, don't do this, don't do that. And of course, very often our parents, God bless them, when they don't feel good enough themselves, and we ourselves, when we don't feel good enough, we project onto other people our insecurities. Would that be fair to say? I think that's pretty given. We all understand how that works in human dynamics and in human behavior. The problem that we have here in human psychology is that there is a time in our life, in our early stages of life, known as the imprint period. If you've studied psychology, you would know this quite well. The imprint period is the age of 1 to 7. And when you're anything from 1 to 7 years old, your entire program, your entire blueprint of human psychology, conscious and unconscious, is built based on the environment around you. You might want to take a note on that. The imprint period completely creates and builds what you know as the unconscious program. Now, unfortunately, then what we do pick up are these thoughts, patterns, indoctrinations, and limiting beliefs of the people around us, as well as the good things, of course. However, if you look at the research and the science around this, I'll quote one amazing bit of study, and I'd like you to go and look this up if you feel like you might have some blocks in your life, if you feel like you aren't able to express yourself, if you feel like you're afraid to speak your truth. And maybe you're like I was when, something comes up and you feel like, I really am passionate about this topic, or I have an opinion on this topic, or I just want to be me. I just want to do me. I just want to express myself, be myself, and share myself. And I just want to be able to be, and here's the big one. We all just want to be loved for who we are. You know, I'm so blessed now to be with a partner in my life, a beautiful woman that is in love with who I actually am, not who I'm trying to be. You know, not who I'm trying to pretend to be. Children are just the same. They just want you to love them for who they really are. So if you're anything like me and the, over 3,500 students that have graduated from our programs now, graduated, not just attended, but gone through the whole curriculum and graduated from them, then you are also quite, human in the essence of, I just want to be loved for who I am. So let me quote this study, and then I'll come back to these questions and give you the answers for some answers, should you choose to follow the activity that we're going to give you later today. Some answers as to how you can find your truth, speak your truth, and live your truth. And then I'm going to get quite passionate at the end of today's conversation, because that is, in fact, what I believe you're born to do. I believe you're on this earth, in this experience, human experience, listening, feeling into what I'm speaking about right now for a very specific reason. Every person is like a snowflake. We are all come from the same material, but we are all so unique that no one is the same. As I say, we are DNA, retina, which is the eye, and fingerprint specific. And that's how unique we are. And most people forget this. So the study is as follows, and this is really exciting. For those of you watching, pop us a line in the chat section. Super excited to see you guys here. Musa, good to see you. Awesome. Tracy, good to see you. Daryl, hey brother, man. Hope you're recovering well, my friend. So loving your comments and loving the shares. Okay, so here it is. There was a study done many years ago in Australia, actually, by an Australian palliative nurse. By the name of Bronnie Ward, W-A-R-E, Bronnie, B-R-O-N-N-I-E, Bronnie Ward, W-A-R-E. And Bronnie Ward, as a palliative nurse, being a palliative nurse means that you're a nurse and you care for people at the very last part of their life. So you care for them on their deathbed. And Bronnie was a palliative nurse for many, many years, and she was able to help thousands and thousands of people exit gracefully. As I say, leave this human experience with love and support and in the best way possible. And through many years of doing this, and by the way, as I go through this, just take a note on the following. The book that Bronnie wrote was called The 5 Common Regrets of the Dying. The 5 Common Regrets of the Dying. Maybe someone can pop that in the chat section for us. Hi, Amber, good to see you. The 5 Common Regrets of the Dying. And here's how this went down. This was so exciting. So Bronnie Ward, as a palliative nurse, she's helping thousands of people in the last stage of their life. Now, you know that when you get to the last part of your life, and we're all going to exit this world at some point, we're all going to move on, right? And it's said that it's in the last couple of weeks of life where we recognize that, oh my gosh, what did I do with my life? Or, oh my gosh, I really lived my life. I really lived my life. I fully did what I wanted to do. Right? But unfortunately, most people don't. Why? Because we've been indoctrinated from the imprint period of childhood to be someone and do some things that aren't true to our soul. They aren't in alignment with our highest values. So I know I hop back and forth a bit to give you some context, because what we're about to do in today's episode, my friend, and I hope you share this with your friends and family, we're about to show you the number one tool that you can apply in your life to avoid the number one common regret of thousands of people on their deathbed, which is why this is so exciting. If I was to say to you, what if you knew, what if I could tell you the 5 common regrets of the dying and give you a strategy as to how you can apply some small activities in your life for you to be able to get to the end of your life, for you to be able to get to the end of your life with your hands on your heart, and ask yourself this question. When you get to the end of your life with your hands on your heart, you ask yourself this question: did I really do everything I could with everything I had? Did I live? Did I love? And did I serve? As in being of service, did I serve my heart out? My question to you is, what if I could give you a strategy a simple strategy by answering some simple questions that would enable you to see what these regrets are, the common regrets are, and for you to be able to follow some small steps to be able to get to the end of your life with your hands on your heart and wholeheartedly say, yes, I did. I lived, I loved, and I served my heart out. Would that be useful if I gave you those activities today? I think many people would say yes, because of course, most people, as I teach as a scientist, the first path to self-mastery is self-discovery. You can't change what you don't know. You don't see what you don't see, right? So we have to see what these blockages and these regrets are. And that's what we do in the 3-day Quantum Advanced event. And also in the 8-week Quantum Upgrade program. There are 8 major blockages, and we help you basically identify them and heal them, remove them, if you will. Okay, so back to Bronnie Ware. So I want you to Google the 5 common regrets of the dying if you find this to be useful, and understand what they were. And so what Bronnie Ware did, the Australian palliative nurse, is that she cared for thousands of people. And after speaking with them over several weeks and months, she was able to identify. She started noticing certain patterns and certain trends. And she was able to identify that there were 5 common regrets of the dying. 5 regrets, 5 primary regrets that thousands of people were saying over and over again. So she wrote this book called The 5 Common Regrets of the Dying. You with me? Okay. And so then you and I, instead of making this mistake, instead of being unconscious, instead of continuing every day to kind of do these habits and have these experiences of life where we aren't actually living a life that's true to us. We're living someone else's life, or minimizing ourselves, or subordinating to outer influences as we cloud our own magnificence. We could step into some small steps, which is what I'll share with you at the end of today, as to how we can live a life that's truly true to us. Yes. And so this is important. It's very important. So Bronnie Ware was able to discover these 5 common regrets. You just go to Google, type in the 5 common regrets of the dying. You'll see them. You can study them. What I would highly recommend that you do is you read these 5 common regrets. You sit down with your partner, your spouse, your best friend, your work colleague, someone that you think is going to be able to, be interested in personal development and improving themselves and living an extraordinary life. And then you share these 5 common regrets with them and say, hey, listen, these are the 5 common regrets of the dying. Can you see, and this is where you will need to ask another person that you trust, another person that's going to give you authentic, loving feedback. I say feedback is love. Yes. Feedback is love when it comes from a conscious source that's not trying to minimize you to make themselves feel good. You must be able to trust this person, that this person is going to give you authentic and good advice. And then you ask this person, and this is not the activity, this is just an idea, right? You ask this person, here are the common regrets. Which one of these ones do you think I need to focus on for me to really take my life to the next level? Which one of these regrets or these things that I can see in front of me do you think is most important for me to apply in my life right now? And sit back and just listen to what they have to say. So you can look them up, but I'll share the number 1 with you. And in the 3-day event or the 8-week online program, you can just go to drespen.com and look them up. In these real experiences, when we're actually doing the work, when we get to the area of life called personal development, which is related to the throat center of speaking our truth, we help you specifically find the number 1 block that stops you from living a life pioneered by your purpose, your life. And that is directly related to the following, and I quote, the number 1 common regret of thousands of people on their deathbed, according to Bronnie Ware, is, I wish, so you might want to write this one down, I wish that I had the courage to live a life true to me. I wish I had the courage to live a life true to me and not the life that other people expected of me. Take a moment to let that sink in, everyone. I wish I had the courage to live a life true to me and not the life that other people expected of me. Now, this is really interesting because think about this. You're born into this human experience for a reason. You're the first out of millions and millions of sperm to be blessed. All the other sperm didn't make it. You made it. There's a reason why you are alive. Can you feel this? Can you believe this? Can you trust this? That you matter? That you matter so much? And that you are alive, listening, breathing, feeling, and understanding this concept now, learning about these limiting beliefs, these regrets for a very specific reason. Why? Because I believe you are alive to be you. You're born to be you. Einstein said it beautifully. He said, if you judge a fish by its capacity to climb a tree, it will spend its entire life thinking that it's stupid. Quote unquote Albert Einstein. So think about this. If you judge a fish by its capacity to climb a tree, it'll spend its entire life thinking that it's stupid. You, as a fish, are not born to climb a tree. If you're not passionate about being a mechanic, don't be a mechanic. If you're not passionate about being a florist, don't be a florist. If you're not passionate about doing things that you're not doing, I understand sometimes you have to do them short term, but if you do them long term, they will, quote unquote, be killing your soul. Why? Because your soul is incarnated into this human experience. You're walking this path to do you. Think about it. If you compare yourself to a flower, I'm not going to go too esoteric on you. I just want to give a natural example. Rebecca's saying, I totally feel that. Yoga Nature, lots of hearts. Hey, Rebecca. Hey, Tracy. Hey, Amber. Thank you so much, everyone. Hey, Vicky from Perth. Good to see you. Hey, Agnita. So imagine a flower. If you could imagine now a flower, it just grows, right? And it just blossoms. It's anchored in the ground. It's solid in the earth, but it's reaching for the sun. It's reaching for the light. But there's one thing that it does, which is so special and so unique. It has a level of wisdom that many of us haven't mastered yet. And that is complete and utter, uncensored, with no guilt, unique expression. So think about this for a moment. A flower, when it starts to shoot up towards the light, it just blooms and it just goes, here I am. And it never compares itself to the flower next to it thinking, oh my, maybe I should be. A red rose doesn't compare itself to a white rose thinking I'm ugly because I'm red. It just blooms. Are you feeling me? And so as such, I believe that you are born into this world for a very specific reason. And when as I say, when you do what you love and love what you do, people can't wait to meet you. Can you think of a person right now that is so passionate about what they do that you can just tell that they're glowing, they shine? Think about Picasso or Da Vinci with their arts. I say the artist is one with the brush, the surfer is one with the wave, the rock climber one with the rock, the speaker one with his or her message. What is it that you do that makes time and space dissolve? And I'm going to get to how you can understand both scientifically and spiritually discern how and when you're on purpose. Okay? But think about this. Hey, Nathan, good to see you. And so think about this for a moment. If you're born just like a snowflake, you're so unique. I say for those on a mission, you might want to write this down. For those on a mission, that is your unique mission. For those on a mission, there is no competition. Because you can be a great replica, but no one can compete with the uniqueness of you. I hope that you allow yourself to feel this. I hope that you allow yourself a little bit of self-dignity and self-love so you can drop into this conversation going, you know what? I'm pretty freaking amazing. Because you are. You are so amazing at being you that you don't need to try. You're just that amazing. Right? And that's the coolest thing. I've been reading a lot of research lately, and it seems that the new norm is not doing a whole bunch of university education. People won't be looking for, like I've got 3 degrees in science. Yeah, it's helpful. But people won't be looking for that in the future. They're going to be looking for expertise and experience. Way more than education. I don't know if it's true, but it's a thought. So take this into consideration. And I'm going to ask you a question. And then I'm going to deliver you the activity in not too long, okay? So again, just to reiterate, for those of you watching, Damien, good to see you, bro. Full expression, exactly. Just to reiterate, there's a book called The 5 Common Regrets of the Dying by Bronnie Ware. The number one common regret, you can look up the other ones as well, but the number one was, I wish I had the courage to live a life true to me and not the life that other people expected of me. So my question to you before we move on is, where are you currently subordinating? Where are you minimizing yourself? In what relationships and in which situations do you just shut your mouth and not speak? I know it's a bit extreme, but I want to trigger your emotions in this because I love you, because I care about you. Where in your life are you not being authentic? Where in your life are you doing things that make you feel not good? And I'm not saying, the things that obviously aren't, needing to be done. I'm saying if you have a job, JOB, just above broke, just kidding. If you have a job or something that you're doing that you're not passionate about, if there's something that you're doing on a regular basis that you absolutely, I don't use the word hate, but there's something that you really despise, something that is slowly and maybe consciously or unconsciously making you sick, then would your life be worth enough for you to trade that out for something that is in alignment with your values? Yes or no? It's okay, perhaps for a period of time, to do certain things that you're not passionate about. But let me ask you a question. If you had a job, if you were doing things around the house, if you were doing things in your life, if you weren't able to speak up, and every time you were to speak up and express yourself, you were shut down with, "Oh, don't you speak," or you were bullied or ridiculed or minimized in any way, shape, or form. If this happens on a regular basis, let's say that I've got a job, I'm not passionate. I'm going to take a standard example, and you may feel into this in your life, right? Set some boundaries, says Damien. I love that. What an epic share. Write down the word boundaries, everyone. This is good. And boundaries don't come from anything but knowing where you are willing to settle in life and where you're not. So let me ask you a question. Let's take an example. The standard person, many people in Australia, many people in the world live a life similar to what I'm about to describe to you. Let's take a person. This person is in a job that they're not passionate about. Okay, they can despise it, or they can just go, "Oh, gotta go to work." You know how many people live lives like that, yeah? So if, let's say that this person has a job, they're not passionate about it, they're in a relationship, the passion's kind of gone. Because of that, they eat quite unhealthy because they're trying to escape from not feeling too good. And maybe they're actually just not knowing their purpose. Maybe, let's take this example. My question to you is, would it be fair to say that if this person lived a life and had a job where they're absolutely not happy, if they did that for a longer period of time, let's say I had a busy week, I went to work, I'm not liking my work, I came home, the house was a mess, I wasn't eating clean, so I had low energy, I'm not in a passionate relationship, so I had an argument with my spouse. At the end of the week, would it be fair to say, yes or no, that you're going to feel absolutely shit? Or not good? Would that be fair to say? Well, of course. So here's the key. If you're living a life that's not true to you, let this drop and feel free to take a note. If you are not living a life that's true to you, if you're living a life that's someone else's life, which is the number one common regret, and you aren't doing what you're loving, you aren't loving what you're doing, would it be fair to say then that my life is going to fill up with things that make me feel not good? Of course. If I go to work for a whole week and or a month and I do things that I'm not passionate about, my life is going to fill up with procrastination, hesitation, frustration, desperation, and depression. Of course, because if I do a whole bunch of things that I don't love, I'm going to feel crap. And that doesn't mean that you need to go to the doctor and get an antidepressant medication. I'm not saying you do or don't. I'm saying in this particular scenario, you may not need external stimulus, sex, drugs, alcohol, smoking, unhealthy foods, social media escape, running away from relationship conversations that you need to have. These things happen on a daily basis for those who aren't passionate about their lives. Why? Because if I do a whole bunch of things that I'm not passionate about, I'm going to feel crap too. So the first thing to understand, and just let's take a breath and a big breath out. The first thing to understand is that these addictions that we have, these escape behaviors, I come home from work. Let's say I've been working a busy week. I'm not passionate about my job. I'm tired. My boss and I had a not fun conversation. I come home. One of the first things I might look for is a glass of wine or Netflix or Facebook or chocolate or pizza or whatever. Would it be fair to say that I'm going to be more likely to be addicted to stimulus, food, sex, drugs, whatever, on the outside when I'm not feeling good on the inside? Would that be fair to say? Just say yes or no. Yes, of course. So my friend, I think it's vital that we take a moment to let go of the guilt, to let go of the self-judgment. Because so often we say things like, you know what, I'm going to stop drinking alcohol and I'm going to eat really clean and have no dairy, no wheat, no sugar, whatever for, a month. And then we get 10 days in and then we drink alcohol because we had a really stressful week at work. And then our lives fill up with guilt. Now, if you haven't done the work that we teach in the 3-day event or the 8-week online event, we teach the Hawkins, a part of the curriculum is the Hawkins scale of consciousness that shows you to the detail, exactly what frequencies the different emotions vibrate at. To give you some context, 0 hertz is death and 100 hertz is fear, and then you have 528 hertz with love and etc. Neutral's about 250. Well, guilt is 30 hertz. I'm not here to say that addictions and things that we do and habits that we have are good for us, but what I will say is this. If you're having a tough time because you're not living a life that you're inspired to live and passionate to live, and you have addictions in your life that you're not proud of, consider for a moment that maybe it is how you feel on the inside. The emotion, the procrastination, hesitation, frustration, desperation, and depression, that's causing you to go and have these stimulus behaviors, right? The pizza, the alcohol, whatever. And instead of blaming yourself and shaming yourself and guilting yourself for drinking a glass of wine, take a moment to sit and think, you know what? I'm actually not passionate about my life. I'm in a job where I'm not happy. That's why I feel like I need the wine. Are you with me? Now, this is huge. Had this conversation with a gentleman by the name of Dr. Andrew, an amazing psychologist on the Gold Coast, actually. And when I shared this with him, he deals with addiction. And when I shared this with him, he said, whoa, that is absolutely revolutionary. Because what we do so often is we try to get rid of the addiction, the stimulus. I'm not saying it's good, bad, or right or wrong. I'm saying if I live a life that's not true to me, I'm going to have addictions as well. Why? Because, and here's the biochemistry of things. This is the science of things, right? When you do what you love and love what you do, when your lower self, I call it your lower self, so your body and your mind and the emotions, that's like the lower self. When your lower self is connected to the higher self, which is the spirit and the soul, the lower self has a small s, is written with a small s, and the higher self is written with a capital S. When the smaller self and the higher self is integrated as one in the heart, in Latin we call it inspiration, which really means in spirit, when you're living a physical life in alignment with your spirit. Are you with me? Then you have inspiration. Inspiration, here's the kicker. Inspiration is a pull. It draws you in. It's a magnet. It needs no motivation. How many times don't we say, I need motivation to eat better and exercise and do this and do that? You don't need motivation. And motivation is an external push. Think about this for a moment. Motivation is an external push. It requires external energy. That's why you run out of motivation. So next time you say, I just need to get motivated, think again. Maybe you need to get inspired. because inspiration is an internal pull. It draws you in, and a magnet drawing you in does not need any energy from you. Does that make sense? This is big, right? So then the question is, what's the magnet? The magnet is you connecting to your higher self. The magnet is you living a life aligned with your soul, a life in alignment with your values. Because when you do what you love and love what you do, you don't need motivation, you have inspiration. And when you have inspiration, you're tapping into the ultimate power source of the higher self, of the quantum field, of the ether, of source consciousness, or whatever you want to call it. In that state, you are walking the path that you came to walk. Synchronicities that took 2 years, for example, to come together, to come into your life, may take 2 months or 2 days. Why? Because you're walking in spirit and the path is laid before you. So you might want to go back and listen to this over and over again, because we're actually dealing with the number one common regret of thousands of people on their deathbed. We're finding solutions and answers as to what is it in my life that I need to change, that I need to actually look at in order for me to be passionate and inspired. We're understanding now that most people are living lives, as Henry David Thoreau, one of my favorite authors, Henry David Thoreau said, most people are living lives of quiet desperation. So if you're one of those people that are living a life of quiet desperation, or that you're doing things that you're not passionate about, know that these feelings of procrastination, hesitation, frustration, and very often depression will show up in your life, and maybe they're trying to teach you something. Maybe your soul or your higher self, or your conscious or unconscious or your super conscious is trying to show you that when you do a whole bunch of things that you're not supposed to be doing, that you're not in love with doing, that you're not passionate about doing, that you don't feel so good, because the brain, please listen carefully, the brain does not secrete serotonin, which is the excitement of things, feeling great and passionate about things, oxytocin, the love molecule, feeling in love with your life, or dopamine, the high, whoa, my life is amazing, I'm feeling so connected and so happy. Oxytocin, serotonin, and dopamine is not secreted in and from the brain to a level anywhere near what it does when you're living a life that's true to you. So let me go back and say that one more time. I truly do believe that one of the major causes of anxiety and depression, suffering, procrastination, hesitation, and desperation comes from you living the life that you should not be living. You know just as well as me, if I ask you to do a whole bunch of things that you don't like for a month, you're going to feel pretty bad, yes? Maybe that is what I call feedback mechanism from the soul to help you come back to living your life. So this could be a really good time for us all to reflect, to look at our lives, to actually write out exactly what you're doing. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And ask the question, which of these things that I'm doing am I actually passionate about? And which of these things am I not passionate about? And then, as I say, you automate, delegate, and celebrate. And this is what people that are living lives pioneered by purpose do. They understand what really drives them, what is truthful for them, what is inspirational for them. And here's the key. Rebecca's saying this is going to take a lot of courage. I love that, Rebecca. Thank you for sharing. Now, here's the key, guys. Doing this exercise and listening to this over and over again until it drops into your being, and actually writing it out and observing your life and taking a step back and just feeling into it all. Yeah, that might take a bit of courage, but you don't need to take action on anything right away. Some of you will. Some of you are, as I call you, ATMs, action-taking machines. And you'd be going, you know what? I'm quitting my job. Or I'm getting out of this abusive relationship. Or I'm going to quit this thing that I'm doing that I know I shouldn't be doing, right? Or some of you just need to recognize, and I'll be blunt, I'll tell you, and I'll speak to myself, my younger version 10 years ago. If I was to give myself some advice in this area of life called personal development related to the throat, finding my truth, if I were to give myself advice when I was, let's say, 15 years ago or something like that, I would say, Espen, your greatest gift to the world and your greatest gift to the people that you love and your greatest gift to yourself is do as much personal development, do as much work on yourself to find yourself. Take the time to sit in stillness. Take the time to feel what you're feeling. Take the time to observe your life. Take the time to look at the things that you're truly passionate about and peel back anything else. There's no comparison to the flower or the person next to you, because you are you for a reason. So do the work on yourself. Do the personal development to the point where you are impeccably clear on your values. Yes, your values may change in the future, but right now you have a unique set of values. A unique set of values where no one can compete with you because you're that unique. If you and when you do what you love and love what you do, you don't need motivation. And people will be drawn to you because it is magnetic. So this is so cool. Good to see you guys, loving your comments. I'm going to read this comment now from my brother Nathan. He says, Elon Musk says Tesla and SpaceX doesn't need a university degree. So think about this. Elon Musk says Tesla and SpaceX, which are obviously major billion-dollar companies, does not need a university degree. Vishen from Mind Valley, you might know Vishen, the CEO and also Satya, the CEO of Microsoft, also state that you don't need a university degree to work with them. Why? Because they're after talent. They're after people that love what they do. You see, when you do what you love and love what you do, my head is tingling at the moment, I'm connecting. When you do what you love and love what you do, you are connected to your spirit, as I said, in inspired life. That means in spirit. That means that you don't need any motivation. And when you are doing what you're loving and loving what you're doing, you are literally living in the present moment, and you're in a state of what's called transient hypofrontality. Now, in science, in neuroscience, transient hypofrontality is when you're in flow. Yeah, Picasso's not going to think, oh, I need a 13-degree angle with the brush. He's going to paint. Yes? The mechanic that works on a car is not going to think, oh, maybe I need to. He's just going to tune. He's going to work with it. The surfer is not analyzing the angle of the wave. She gets up on the board and she takes off one with the wave. So, would it be useful to you guys, before I give you the activity, would it be useful if I gave you a set of principles, a method of screening your life to find out what your purpose is? Will that be useful? If you're watching, comment in the chat section. And if you're listening to the replay, just say the word yes, because you activate the brain and you can open yourself past what's called the hindbrain into the executive center and actually remember some of the things that I share. So let me share this with you. I heard this once, and I was traveling. I've spent over $2.5 million traveling the world doing personal development, which includes courses, seminars, coaches. I just took on a coach, and he's not cheap. But I've already made that investment back financially. When you find a good coach, you're going to make that investment back real quick. If you don't have a coach, you don't find an elite athlete without a coach. Would that be fair to say? You don't find a highly successful businessman or politician or someone, not that politician's a good example, Jesus. If you want to rip off a country, just become a politician, right? Sorry, that was an outburst of personal opinion. But you don't find highly successful people in the business world and in the sporting arena that don't have a coach. If you want to be successful, have a coach. I've got 3 coaches in my life at the moment. And just like having a personal trainer, you are way more likely to show up to that session because you know someone's going to be there for you. Don't have to do this alone. We've got a whole team of quantum coaches, a whole team of highly trained professionals led by the clinical psychologist, Carl Gustafsson. They used to do clinical psychology at the UQ University as a researcher. We've got an amazing team of people. Reach out to us if you have any questions. But here's the key. I learned once when I was on tour, and the reason why I said, that I spent $2.5 million on personal development is because it's been the greatest investment I've ever spent, because I found who I was, and I'm so passionate about my life. I'm in love with my life. I'm in love with what I'm doing. It's amazing. I don't need to push myself to like get up in the morning and get out of bed. I'm like, yoo-hoo, another day where I get to do me. So I learned traveling, and I picked up, every time I travel to different seminars, I pick up one thing from each speaker, each seminar. And I wrote them down, and I was able to culminate a practice. I have this journal, right? So here's the practice. This is the activity that I'm going to get you to do. And this activity just changed my life. And this activity is so powerful that it's going to help you understand the messages from your soul or your higher self, your superconscious, your unconscious. It's going to help you over time, I believe, find, if not actually, let's not say find. You don't need to find your purpose. You already know your purpose. And some of you will say, how do you know that I know my purpose? You don't know me. Well, let's put it this way. Do you believe that you're only flesh and bone? Do you believe that you're only physical? The only thing in reality is the physical things? Well, then maybe you haven't caught up on the science. I bet you that you believe, like I believe, that there's more to you. There's more to your children and your loved ones than just physical flesh and bone. There is a spirit or a soul in there. There's a consciousness. There's an awareness. We know scientifically that 99.9% of what we're made up of is actually non-physical. That's me being space. But this space has an energy, frequency, and vibration. We know this in quantum science. We know this when we studied the subtle energies of the wave functions. And when I understand that there's so much more to me than the physical, what I'm giving you now, what I'm about to give you, is a set of very specific questions that you can ask yourself to be able to turn the attention back within to experience and explore who you really are and how to live a life of purpose. So you don't need to find your purpose. It's already there. Your soul knows itself. It's never lost. It's never missing. It's never confused. It doesn't grieve. It's not sad. It's not angry. It just loves. And it is fully aware of itself. And so the higher self, the spirit, the soul, the consciousness, the non-physical self, which makes up the majority of who you are, scientifically proven, is fully aware that it is aware of itself. But the lower self, the body, the mind, and the emotion, sometimes when we are conditioned, remember the imprint period, forgets. And then we take on the patterns of our parents that said, no, you're not going to be a florist. You're not going to be an artist. You're not going to be a musician. You're not going to be this or that. You're going to be this. You need to go to school. You need to get a job. You need to pay taxes. You need to subordinate. You need to procrastinate, hesitate, and frustrate because you need to fit into the system and not make a fool out of yourself. And I'm not saying your parents did this, but I know a lot of parents do. My father pushed onto me that I had to get great education because he never had one. Makes sense? So I did. It's great, but did I really need one? Most of the stuff that I teach doesn't come from just science. It comes from life. Anyway, so let me share this activity with you. Are you guys ready? Let's take a big breath in. Exhale. Breathing through the throat, opening up the truth center. Here's the key. I've found through my studies and my travels that there are certain things that you can look for, that you can become more consciously aware of in your life that is going to help you be a GPS or produce and or find a map to your purpose. Would you like a map to rediscover or perhaps step more into your purpose? This is what I did. Step number 1. You might want to write this down. Step number 1. Pull out your journal, something that you can keep for a long time. A nice one. A nice, beautiful journal. If you have something that you're writing on regularly, you're going to go to the back page and make sure the front or the back of the page doesn't have any writing. Okay, and you're going to be reverting back to this over and over and over again. Here's the practice. There are certain things, what I believe are universal signs that can show you when you're living a life in spirit. That is an inspired life, which is what it means in Latin, as I said. To live a life where you are inspired, where you don't need an external push for motivation because you have a drive and a pull inside of yourself. You with me? In order for you to find out how to live a life of inspiration, an inspired life, you can ask yourself these following questions. Now, what I'd like you to do is to write down these different scenarios. And when you are experiencing them in your life, you pull this manual out and you have it with you. So you have to have it with you. You can put it in your phone if you're traveling or whatever, but I'd like you to have something physical where you can write it in. And every time you see these things show up in your life, you write it down immediately. Okay, so it's basically it's a process of consciousness. It's a process of awareness. It's a personal development, spiritual evolutionary practice of expanding your awareness to see the truth of you and what you love to do. Okay, so you're going to go through life, doing your thing, and then suddenly one of these things that I'm about to list out for you will be showing up, and then you go, okay, write it down. I was doing this, and you write it down. Okay, you with me? So the first thing you want to keep an eye out for are the moments that take your breath away. So write this down, the moments that take your breath away. The moments that are breathtaking, as in, wow. That is amazing. The moments that are breathtaking, the moments that take your breath away. So write that down. That's the first one. The second one are the moments of profound stillness. By that I mean profound stillness. By that I mean that the all of the thinking of the brain, all the analyzing and this and that and this and that goes away, and you find this presence. When you're fully in the moment. How will I know? You will know. At least now that you understand what you're looking for, you might be able to find it easier. Einstein said there is no past, there is no future. Fraternity is only in the now. So when we learn to live in the moment, I call it present time consciousness, you are able to absolutely be still with your mind, or still your mind, and be fully present with whatever you're feeling, whatever you're thinking, whatever's happening around you. That's the second one. The third one, which is one of my favorites, is this one. Soul bumps. Some people call them goosebumps. When you experience something, now listen, this is really important. This is based on inspiration. It's not when you watch a horror movie and you get goosebumps. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm saying when you do something that you're enjoying, please write down enjoying. When you're doing something that you're enjoying, that you appreciate, that's fun, that's inspirational. When you're doing something that you enjoy and you get goosebumps, maybe someone's singing, you get a goosebump, you write it down. Maybe you're watching, hearing a story being told of overcoming adversity and you get goosebumps, you write it down. When you're playing with your child on the beach, and time and space, this is important. Presence, your perception, instead of thinking, what time is it? Looking at the clock. There is no time and space. There is in the essence, but you don't need to think about time and space. When you do what you love and you love what you do, the notion, the perception, the awareness of what time it is or where you are disappears because you're one with what you're doing. When I go to the beach, when I play with my son, time is not in my mind. I am fully with that little, incredibly beautiful bundle of joy. So maybe you write songs, maybe you write poetry, maybe you talk about your favorite topic. And when you talk about this topic to a friend, you could talk forever. And when you could talk forever about something that you're passionate about, and you're like, whoa, where did time go? That's the one. Write it down. Are you with me still? Okay. The fourth one, I think the fourth or fifth one that I'll share with you is this. Tears of gratitude, not tears of pain or desperation, but tears of joy, love, and gratitude. You might want to write this one down too. The tears are the language of the heart. Tears are the language of the heart. So when you give yourself the opportunity to ask the question, What is it in my life that gives me a tear of gratitude? Where I feel my heart open to that point of, wow, that was amazing. When you experience it, write it down. And these are, and I'd like you to write this sentence down and circle it. These are what I call the signs from the soul. The signs, not the science, but the signs. The signs from the soul. Your soul, your higher self, your spiritual self, your energetic self, your quantum self, your pure, unlimited potential self, that is in the essence who you are, the majority of, is speaking through you when time and space disappears and you're left with nothing but the present time conscious awareness of whatever you're doing. When you're inspired about something and it seems like you can talk about it all day, you don't need any energy, you're just so passionate about it. When you get these goosebumps, when you get these tears of gratitude, these are the moments that take your breath away. These are the moments that are the signs from your soul that are showing you what you're truly passionate about, what you really value in your life. And if you compare, if you do this, and I've done this now for, it's been I don't know how many years, probably 10 years, where I write down, what is it that I do that makes time and space disappear, that takes my breath away, that brings me presence, that brings me love, joy, and uni bumps or soul bumps. I write it down. So I now know. I know my highest values. I love researching. I love my family and being with my family. I love speaking from stage. When I speak from stage, and even today I've channeled several times, and I disappear from what I'm doing. And suddenly when my awareness catches up, I'm like, whoa, I just said a whole bunch of things. I don't remember what I said, but I said them. When I did Ninja Warrior, for example, I only have a short context. I remember about 20 seconds after the fourth obstacle and about probably another 10 to 20 seconds after the fifth obstacle before I got up the wall and hit the buzzer. And then I remember being on top of the wall. And then if you watch it on YouTube, you'll see the guy, the interviewer from Australian Ninja Warrior says, Espen, how was that? And I just said, I don't know. You don't think, you just do, you know? I was fully in flow. Transient hypofrontality. When your prefrontal thinking cortex, when your analytical mind slows down, and the other parts of the brain, 95% of your brain is not utilized and active yet. When those dormant parts of your superconscious and subconscious take over, and you are able to bring the conscious mind to see what it is that your soul desires, what your soul is telling you, and you're able to live a life in alignment with your soul, you're going to be able to more and more live a life of inspiration. I don't know if you believe in reincarnation, but if you don't live the life that you came to live, maybe you have to come back and do all this suffering and stress again. So I truly do believe that you are born for a reason, my friend. I believe that you need to look within to find more clarity, perhaps as to how you can be even more in love with your life. Because the number one common regret of thousands of people, the number one regret is that I wish I had the courage to live a life true to me and not the life that other people expected of me. And you are so beautiful. You are so magnificent. You are so unique and you are so powerful that no one else has exactly what you have. Feel it, trust it, believe it, perceive it, and you will achieve it because you are the hero that you've been waiting for. And the uniqueness within you, it's impossible for anyone else to even compare or come close. So as long as you do something that's good for you, that's good for other people, and that's good for the world, I can pretty much guarantee you that if you do this work and you continue, you'll be able to find deeper levels of awareness, to be more passionate about your life. And I urge you perhaps to do this activity. My challenge to you is, will you do this activity for the next, we normally do 7 days, but I'm going to ask you, are you interested in doing this activity for the next 12 weeks? Are you interested in actually getting out a journal or using your phone, and every time you either experience one of these things that I talked about, go back and listen to it again, write them all down. If you're driving now, listen to this later, write it out. Don't miss this one. This is a hack. This is a a hack to find a life that's pioneered by your purpose. This is a hack to live a life of inspiration, to avoid the number one common regret of the dying, and to open your throat and learn to speak, learn to live, learn to love, and learn to share your truth with passion and inspiration, because the world is waiting to hear what you have to say. That's part of the reason why you're born, because you are so absolutely unique and incredible. So my question to you is, do you take on the challenge of writing down exactly what you do in your life that brings out these things in you? Yes or no? Yoo-hoo! Damien says, with an open heart, I truly believe this is truth. Thank you. Awakening in alignment, inspiration, says Yoga Nature. Write down all the things. Yep, absolutely, Rebecca. Loving it. So thanks for listening, everyone. I just want to say thank you once again. We always try our very best to give you tangible resources to follow. Again, if you go to drespen.com, DRESPEN.com, you check out the website. If you really want to learn how to do this stuff, come and do our seminars in a live event in Australia or online, because we go through this. We take you through the process, and you actually get to peel back these layers and get to the truth of who you really are. So thanks everyone for watching. Thank you, Shay, legend. Do you want to add some gold to the end?
You're absolutely, man, you're on fire, brother. Like, you're just channeling through you. I love it. Everything you shared, just empowering people to be the hero within in their own lives. And yeah, just wanted to honor you for sharing the good news and just dropping all that value for people. It's just phenomenal, what we're able to really achieve when we apply ourselves and given the right mentorship, given the right tools and circumstance, which you've offered today in the last 60 minutes, just given tremendous value for people to really be empowered and take responsibility and take control of their lives, so that they can steer it in the right direction. I really appreciate what you shared and what you offer to the world. It's you're a great living embodied example of everything that you teach. So it's an absolute honor, brother. Thank you so much for dropping into it and sharing. And it's so good to see everyone who's commenting, and just want to say hello and thanks for tuning into this episode. It's a potent one. And if you also got value out of it, just share it along with your friends. Tag those who you think would get something out of it as well. Maybe just tag them in the comment section. And it's important to share this message with others, particularly in our times today. And feels really relevant just to give that big oomph. So huge ups to you, Dr. E. Thanks for sharing, brother.
Thank you. I want to say also a really good thing that I love to do is to actually share this with other people for the sake of doing the experience. So for example, if you're on YouTube right now, you copy this YouTube link. If you're on social media, copy the actual link to the live, share it with a friend and say, hey, watch this and write down the notes. And then you and I, let's go for lunch and let's sit down and let's ask these questions. Hang on, where do you see me not living my truth? Hang on, what is it that you see in me where I light up, when I'm passionate about a topic that I speak about, where I really put my heart into it? What is that? And ask another person, go through it, let them watch it, and then ask them. You'll be amazed at the level of awareness that can come back to you by someone else external, because sometimes it's hard for us to see it. So share this exercise with people and go come together to help each other find that inspiration. And when you have inspiration, you're not going to need any motivation. Dear friends, thank you so much, Shay. Love you, brother. You're an absolute legend. You're an inspiration to me and to everyone watching as well. Thank you for being a thought leader, paradigm shifter, and for bringing light and awareness to the people in the world. We absolutely need it. And when the world comes back to the truth of who we are, and we all do that, every person's going to be in such a beautiful harmony, I believe, with everything. Because you look at all the plant life, look at all the animals, they just do what they do, and they love. They just express themselves fully. And I think this is important for humanity to learn right now, because you are born to be you. All right, guys. Thanks again. Love you lots.
Bless, Dr. E.